Gonna get started in about 3 minutes here. So if you're just turning on the video, fast forward it about 3.5 minutes. Gonna get going in about 2 minutes. I turned off the chat because there's too many idiots that say too much stupid stuff. I just don't want to see it. Gonna get started here in about another minute. So if you want to know the truth, if you want to know what time it is, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna show you in the Bible. Gone through so much. Had to go through the fire because Satan doesn't want this information to be received very easily. So the chats are off. I'm not messing around with that stuff. Too many idiots come in here, say stupid stuff, nonsense. Not gonna have it. So I'm gonna get started now. So we know that God declares the end from the beginning. Okay? And this biblical principle told to us, hopefully I'm spelling that right, in Isaiah 46:10 says that God declares the end from the beginning. So the book of Genesis is the first book, and it means the beginning or beginnings. Beginning. Okay? I think I spelled that wrong either way. So Genesis means beginning. It literally is the beginning. And God declares the end from the beginning, so we should see this. We should see it in Genesis. Okay? And we do. And we do. And I show people this in the videos. And I still get people, I don't even know if they're doing it on purpose or not, that still want to talk crap. And it's like, look, man, if you want to stay in the dark, then you stay in the dark. So in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, in the very first verse, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, the numerical value for Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. In Hebrew, the original text, you can look this up. Please look this up yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. The value is 2701 in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. Now, this number is key, okay? When you take this number, now this is hidden wisdom, and it's a bit of a secret, but the Bible says that God left the secrets. Proverbs 25:2. Okay? Now when you take this number, when you take the numbers 37 times 73, 37 is the numerical value for wisdom in Hebrew, and 73 is the numerical value for wisdom in standard Hebrew, gematria. 37 times 73 is 2701. Okay. Now you might think, yeah, well, so what? So what? Maybe that's just means nothing, right? Well, no, it means something, because when you take 2701 now and you add it to its reflection, 2701 plus 1072, okay, you add it to its reflection, guess what number you get? 3773. You see that? It's all right there in the first verse. Okay? Genesis 1:1 is 3773. And this number is encoded in Genesis 1:1 like this because God founded the earth through his wisdom. This is Proverbs 3:19. This is how God creates, okay? So 37 times 73 is 2701. 2701 is the numerical value of the very first verse in the Bible. Okay? But when you take 2701 and you add it to itself in reverse, 1072, you get back to 3773, which is all about God's wisdom. 37 is a 12th prime number, and 73 is a 21st prime number. Again, you have a palindrome, 12 and 21. 37, 12th prime number, 73, 21st prime number. It's a palindrome, 1, 2, 2, 1. It's a circle, okay, a cycle, okay. It's the same from left to right and right to left. It's a mirror. It's numerical numbers, you have to know numbers if you want to know what time it is. Okay, so we understand this, right? So what is 3773 also? Well, pay attention to this one. When you take 3 times 7 times 73. So we did there? 3 times 7 times 73. It equals the exact amount of verses in the book of Genesis, which is 1533. There's exactly 1533 verses in the book of Genesis. Okay, and the very first verse of Genesis, which is 3773 encoded in it, when you multiply it 3 times 7 times 73, you get the amount of verses in the book of Genesis. So Genesis 1:1 has 1533, the amount of verses in the book of Genesis, in the very first verse, 1533. You see that? See what God did there? The end from the beginning. The beginning of the book of Genesis, Genesis 1:1 is the beginning. And the end of Genesis is the end. and it has 1,533 verses. God declares the end, 1533, from the beginning. 3773, 3 times 7 times 73. You see how God did that? See what God is showing us here? Showing us numbers. Showing us what time it is. So now that we understand that what are these numbers? What is 1533? I just showed you in the last video. 1533 is 2025. Okay. 1 times 5 times 3 times 3 is is 45. 45. 45 is the square root of 2025. That means that 45 times 45 itself is 2025. And this is 1 times 5 times 3 times 3, 1533, the amount of verses in the book of Genesis, the beginning. And you multiply each number, be fruitful and multiply, and you get the square root of 2025, which is 45. You can't even make it up. Then when you multiply them twice, okay, I'm not going to do it because it's too long, but when you multiply them twice, 1 times 5 times 3 times 3 times 1 times 5 times 3 times 3, you get literally 2025. And when you multiply them 3 times, you get a date. 9/11/25. 9/11. Chop it up. 9/11/25. That's the end. That's the date for the end. It's either November 11th, 2025, because November is actually the 9th month, or it's Kislev 11 on the biblical calendar, which is December 4th. So he gave us the square root, then he gave us the year, then he gave us the month, the day, and the year, all in number 1533, which is the amount of verses in the book of Genesis. Genesis is the beginning. God declares the end from the beginning, Isaiah 46:10. Do you see what he's doing here? Do you see what he's doing here? Now look at the number 45. Okay, who else is 45? Adam, from the very beginning. Adam in Hebrew equals what? 45. And you get all that with Adam's name, 45. Who else equals 45? Enoch equals 45. In English, in the English language. What happened to him? Rapture. And you get all that. Elijah equals 45. You get all that. Daniel equals 45 in the English language. You get 2025 and 9/11/25 with every 45. Enoch, Elijah, Daniel, Adam. Okay? God showing us the rapture, the Antichrist, Jacob's trouble, the end from the beginning. All with the number 45. See what God did here? Okay? This is the end. This is the end. No doubt. Now, also that number, Genesis 1:1, the value of it, 2701, you can even get a 73 out of that. 2 plus 70 plus 1. 2 plus 70 plus 1 equals what? 73. See what God did here? 73 is known for God's wisdom and standard gematria. 37 is wisdom in ordinal gematria. But you see that? The numerical value of Genesis 1:1 in Hebrew, 2701, if you add it as such, 2 plus 70 plus 1, you get 73, which is numerical value for God's wisdom. And God creates everything through his wisdom. Proverbs 3:19. These are important numbers. Okay? This is the end. This is the end. This is the end. If you don't like numbers, then you're going to be in trouble. You're never going to know what time it is. You're never going to know what time. If you don't like numbers, if you don't understand that God has left mysteries and secrets in the Bible, and even the Bible says this in Proverbs 25:2, If you don't understand these things and you don't accept Him, if you don't understand and accept that God has hidden wisdom in the Bible, then you're never going to come to the knowledge of the timeline. It just will not happen. Okay? So we could talk about the timeline for a second if we want. Might as well, right? How does it all work? I'm going to tell you exactly where we are. Exactly where we are. So, remember, you don't start the 6,000 years from the very beginning. You don't start it from Adam's creation. Okay? We know about the 6,000 year period, right? 120 Jubilees in Genesis 6:3. Genesis 6:3. Oops. Genesis 6:3. God declares 120 years that His Spirit is going to strive with man. Well, that's 120 Jubilees. A Jubilee is 50 years. 120 times 50 is 6,000 years. From the time that Adam fell, okay, that's the key. It's from the time that Adam fell that God's Spirit started contending with man. Not from the time that Adam was created. He had to fall and be kicked out of the garden first. This is the key to remember. So we start from the beginning. Okay? There's the beginning. There's the end. So this is year one of creation. Okay? Now in our understanding, it would be called 4004 BCE. But you don't start from year one for the 6,000 years from the count. Okay? Now we come over here. I already know the end, but I'll prove it to you in a second. We come over here to 2030. I'll just put it like that. 2030 is the 6,000th year. I'm going to show you that in a second. And there is no year zero, but we're going to use that as a marker. Okay? So if you started from the first year of creation and you went 6,000 years, you would come to the year 1996. 1996. So if you started from the first year of creation, the 6,000th year already passed in 1996. Give or take, 1996, 97, about 96. And that would be 6,000 years from 4004 BCE. Or in the biblical years, that would be the first year. There's no BC or anything like that in biblical years, but that's our calendar today, showing you both. So, you don't start from when everything was created. You start from when Adam got kicked out of the garden. And Adam got kicked out of the garden at 33 years old. Now, how do I know that? The Bible doesn't say that. But I believe that when we look at Jesus' life, everything that happened with him is a pattern for what happened with Adam, but in reverse. But the age was the same. So when Jesus was put on the cross and died, that's when Adam died. Get it? In that day you eat, ye shall surely die. So Adam didn't physically die, but spiritually he died. So Jesus, when he died, what age did he die at? 33. You see? You see what God does? You see what God is doing? In order to know the future, you have to look in the past. Okay? And in order to know what happened in the past, the beginning, you have to look at the future. It's all a mirror. It's all a cycle. Okay? It's a reflection. The future is a reflection of the past. The past is a reflection of the future. And it's one giant cycle. Okay? And this is what the Bible says. In Ecclesiastes 3:15 and Ecclesiastes 1:9. God says these things repeat themselves. This is what he wants. Okay? So when Adam got kicked out of the garden, it was 33 years after the first year of creation. So now, what year is that? That would be, I'll put it right here, 3970 BCE. Right? So if you go 6,000 years forward from 3970 BCE, all you got to do is add 3970 plus 2030, you'll get 6,000. So you go 6,000 years from when Adam was 33, and you come directly to 2030. Now, the problem is that people believe that there's a 7-year tribulation, 7-year wrath period, and this is the big lie. This is why people can't come to the knowledge of the truth. Okay? Now, 2025, if that's the year 6,000, what about us in 2025? Well, there's a lot to go over for that, but let's say it's about right here, 2025, right? Well, if 2030 is the 6,000th year, then we subtract 5 years from 6,000, we'd come to the year 5,995. Now, how can I prove that 2025 is year 5,995? Well, because God left this mystery only that works in this year, as I've shown before. You take this number and you multiply it. 5 times 9 times 9 times 5. That's all you do. Just multiply each number and you get what number? 20, 25. Okay? Do this on your own. Do that on your own. That's the only year that works for. You can't do that with 5996. You can't do that with 5994. For 2024 or 2026. None of that works. Only this year. Why? Because this is the year. This is the year. The year of transition and the year of new beginnings. The year of the rapture. The year of the beginning of the 42-month Great Tribulation. Jacob's trouble. Not the church's trouble. Jacob's trouble. Okay? This is the year. I don't know how many people out there understand how special this year that we are in is. This is the year, man. This is it, the year it all happens. And it's going to come in a twinkle of an eye, and it's going to come when people aren't expecting it. Even most believers aren't expecting it. Take a look around. These people are brainwashed. They'll think that things are going to get better because of Trump. Are you kidding me? No. No, they don't believe the Bible. They don't believe God. They believe in God. They don't believe God. Okay? Now this is numbers. I just showed you exactly what time it is. Exactly. Please take this, screenshot it, do the calculations yourself. Do the calculation for year 5,995. When you multiply it, it's 2025. You add 5 years, you're at 2030. Do that calculation yourself. Do it on the calculator. Do the calculation of 4004 BCE. Add 33 years to 4004 BCE. Okay? And you come to about 3970 BCE. So, go 3970 plus 2030, you get 6,000 years. Okay. And then 2030 subtract 5 years, you're at 2025, which is your 5,995. Just multiply. And this is the only year you can do that. You can't do this with any other year in the biblical years, and it will equal the year that we're in. It doesn't work for any other year, only this year. Why? Because this is the year. This is the biggest year ever, and people are going to find out in a twinkle of an eye, overnight. That's it. The rapture is going to happen for the elect, whoever that is, and the world is going to know that everything has changed. That is what is going to happen. Okay? So again, 4004 BCE, subtract or whatever, add 33 years, it would come out to about 3970. Now, it depends because you have the months in there, right? So It's not exactly 4004 exact, right? And it's not exactly 33 years exact. There's months in between. So, but it comes out to about 3970 BCE, okay? Or year 33, you know? And then you just do the math. It's simple. It really is. So, that's where we are. That's what time it is. 2025 is it is the pivotal year. The year that everything changes. Everything. For the world, for the true believers. This is it. I don't know what else to say. Like I said, it's all in the number 45. It's all in the number 45. All of it. You got to ask yourself, why did God code it everywhere in these certain places? Okay. Adam, from the beginning. God declares the end from the beginning. Adam equals 45. Okay, what is 45? It's the square root of 2025. Meaning 45 times 45 is 2025. Okay? But it's even deeper than that, because from the age that Adam died, 930 years old, to the year of Noah's flood, which is 1656 years past creation, the exact difference is 726 years. And the number 726 is the number for harpazo. Look at that calculation. Come on. The harpazo, what we call the rapture. You guys see how profound this is? Just this one revelation right here. This revelation is the most profound thing to me. Adam's name in Hebrew equals 45, which is the square root of 2025, meaning that 45 times 45 is 2025. So we have Adam automatically pointing to the year 2025, just with the value of his name. Then his age that he died at, 930 years old, to the year of Noah's flood, which is 1656 years past creation. The exact difference is, between those two times, 726 years. The number 726 in the Strong's Concordance Greek is the word harpazo, which in the English is caught up in 1 Thessalonians 4 and Revelation 12, what we call the rapture. 2025 harpazo. And the flood, okay? And it's not going to be a physical flood of water all over the earth. There is going to be some flooding of water, but it's going to be a spiritual flood, like Ghostbusters, when they turn off the machine and New York is filled with ghosts. It was a flood of spiritual effect. This is the most profound thing ever to me. Okay, I just can't get over it. And again, it is no coincidence that God used this number 45. Because who else is 45? Enoch. In the English language equals 45. Elijah. In the English language equals 45. What happened to these two fellas? Raptured. And Enoch was raptured at Hanukkah. Enoch means dedicated. Hanukkah is called the Feast of Dedication. Okay? Who else equals 45? Daniel in the English language equals 45. He was all about the Antichrist and Jacob's trouble. I mean, this number is here for this reason. To show us today what is going to happen. The Bible is not just another book, man. It's all prophecy. It's just all prophecy. Do the calculations yourself. And not only does 45 automatically point to 2025, but it points to a date. Because when you multiply it 3 times, 45 times 45 times one more time, you get 91125. A month, a day, and a year. ninth month, 11th day, and the year 2025. Does that look familiar? 9/11? What do you think all this 9/11 predictive programming is all about? September 11th, 2001, Twin Towers, Charlie Kirk happened on 9/11 in Jerusalem, because it was already the next day in Jerusalem time. So it was 9/10 in America, but in Jerusalem it was 9/11 already. Okay, all this stuff on 9/11, and you got the year. You got multiplied 3 times. Let's look at this number 45. Multiplied twice, it's 2025. That's why it's called the square root of 2025. Multiplied 3 times, you get the date of what? The harpazo. 9/11/25, month, day, year. And this is either going to be November 11th, because November is the 9th month, or Kislev 11, the 9th month on the biblical calendar, which is December 14th. There it is, man. I just can't stop talking about these revelations. They're profound. They're profound. So again, thank you guys. We're here. We're here. This is it. It's coming. What else can I say?